Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath, but we know that we have a special Sabbath that we are celebrating our Feast of Booths or Tabernacles. And when we deal with these things, we have to consider the overall plan that Yahweh has for us. And in a overall plan, there's going to be some twists and turns that we may not see in that. First of all, you know, it is a blessing that we were able to make it here. One thing, if you are new to keeping the holy days, you find out that just as it is written in Job 1 and 2, it came time for the angels, the sons of Elohim, to appear before Yahweh, and Satan came also. And you find that when you get near these holy days, Satan show up too. And he try to slow you down. He try to get you thinking about all the things you ain't got no business thinking about. He try to get you to do all the things you ain't got no business doing. Because all it takes is just a little bit to throw you off. Remember, you shall not surely die. That's all it takes is a little veering off the path. And that little turn will get you off. But praise Yahweh that we were able and blessed to be able to make it through whatever those little hiccups that we encountered were. And understand, as we grow in the Word, the hiccups are going to grow as well. You know, when you are dealing with an entry-level thing in the Word, you're going to get entry-level hiccups. But as He expects your growth to be better, He's going to allow some of those bigger hiccups to come through. You know, there are points in your growth where they call them, as the children are growing, milestones. There are milestones that are supposed to be achieved at certain points. So as you get out of kindergarten and you move to the first grade, there's a certain amount of things that they said, all right, this kid has been in kindergarten for this long. He or she should know this, this, and this. And if you are not able to do those things, you don't pass that milestone and move to the next step. Or what happens is eventually then they have to put you in a remedial course so that you can go back and learn these other things so that you will be ready for the next milestone. Well, Yahweh's going to operate the same way. You don't be in the Word 20 years and you get in the kindergarten hiccups. That's not even fair to you as far as growth, because you're going to think you're a much better individual than you really are. Because it just looked like you just slapping these little things down. Oh, I got it. Now here comes the vanity if he allows that to happen that way. So we have to consider that there is a reason for those things. Now, when we read about the feast days of our holy day calendar, we notice the first thing stated concerns the Sabbath. We then are able to see that the holy days are based upon the number of completions, which is 7. In the 7th month, Yahweh begins by causing the trumpet to sound. The trumpet calls the children of Israel. In the 10th day of the 7th month, Yahweh calls for affliction and atonement amongst Israel. After Israel has been gathered by the sound of the trumpet and have atoned for their sin, now they can tabernacle. There are many gatherings, but tabernacling is something altogether different. Tabernacling is gathering in reconciliation unto your Elohim. Therefore, it only happens after every other holy day and issue in our hearts have been addressed and dealt with. The flesh tends to bypass the more difficult issues, not understanding that this causes issues with their tabernacling in righteousness. There were 10 phases in the process of Israel redemption. These 10 phases were the judgment placed upon Pharaoh, the plagues of Yahweh, our Elohim. The first, water turned into blood. The second, plague was frogs upon the land. The third was gnats. The fourth, flies. The fifth was a separation between cattle and cattle, as the livestock of Egypt died, but the cattle of Israel remained. The sixth plague was boils upon man and beast. The seventh plague was hail across the land. The eighth plague was locusts covering the face of the land. The ninth plague was darkness over the land of Egypt. The 10th and final plague was the death of the firstborn among the land of Egypt. Thus, the end of Egypt was the beginning of Israel. This 10th plague of Egypt was the beginning of Israel's Passover. These 10 phases of redemption were the price of Israel's redemption. This price will never be forgotten of Yah, and Israel shall be held responsible for the price paid. For it is written, know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not of your own? For you are bought with a price. If there is a price, then there is a value. If there is a value, then we must ask ourselves, at what cost does our salvation become too expensive to make spiritual sense? The 10 phases of their redemption afforded them 10 transgressions against Yah. Once that number was reached, Yahweh was done, and it was time to diversify his spiritual portfolio without them. Let's begin tonight's sermon in Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 20 through 34.
Verse 20. And Yahweh said, I have pardoned according to your word.
Yahweh said, I have pardoned according to your word. Now, we have talked about these things about forgiveness and then atonement, which is reconciliation back to the state as if the thing had never been done. And a lot of times we get stuck at forgiveness and not understand the weight of atonement or reconciliation. So Yahweh says, I have pardoned. Go ahead.
But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh.
So then we understand that now he's about to go into some things. Go ahead.
Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice.
Now, why was 10 the number? He was done. He said, they have transgressed against me 10 times. How many things did he do to redeem them?
10.
So, they traded in their salvation. He gave them the same number of times that he bought them with. Now the question is, when we consider our lives, what's your number? Go ahead.
Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and has followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereunto he went, and his seed shall possess it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me.
And most of those murmurings were not directly against Yahweh. Those murmurings were against the man that he put in place. They constantly murmured against Moshe. See, people are not bold enough to go directly to Yahweh, but they don't really understand that's who you're murmuring against. They don't really understand that. So we're not going to be bold enough to say, I got a problem with Yahweh. We're just going to take that problem to the people that we see. We're going to ask them questions. We're going to question them. Why you bring us out here? You brought us out here to die? Have you made yourself a prince and a ruler all over us? It was Yahweh who they were questioning. They just thought they were questioning Moshe. Go ahead.
Say unto them, as truly as I live, says Yahweh, as you have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me, doubtless you shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb the son of Yephani and Joshua the son of Nun.
So then Yahweh allowed them then to live their life out. But the joy that they were supposed to get, they're not going to get that. Go ahead.
But your little ones, which you said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms, until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. After the number of the days in which you search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall you bear your lawlessness, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise.
This is what leads you to understand or back up and look at, they have gone against me these 10 times. It wasn't connected to the commandments. It was connected to the amount of things he did to redeem them. Because look at the punishment. He said, after the number of days which you search the land, 40 days, I'm giving each day for a year. 40 years. That's how long, that's your sentence. You got 40 to life. Because that's how long it took you to conjure up this plan to go against what I told you to do. So then he has some significance in the punishment that's directly connected to the action that was done. So if you pay attention, certain things will make sense in your life. Are we willing to pay that kind of attention though? Now he redeemed Israel with 10 plagues. When he was done with that generation, he said, you have transgressed me these 10 times. So the amount of times that they received to transgress was exactly proportioned to the number of acts committed against Pharaoh to let them go. So he in turn let them go. The price to keep us became too high, even for Elohim that owns everything. Have you ever meditated upon your price? At what point does keeping you become too expensive even for Elohim? We constantly ask him for more and more, but what do you give? How does he or his agenda increase because of your involvement? When he examines his finances, do you bring more liabilities than assets? Let's go to Matthew chapter 21. See, we have to understand, we can't buy our way into Yahweh's kingdom. See, bribery only works when the people want something, and what you give them gives them the ability to get something they want. He can't be bribed because there ain't nothing you can offer him of value. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to start at verse 18. Go ahead, brother.
I was just, along with what you're saying, it's funny how we can use the littlest things to be an excuse not to show up for something that pertains to Yahweh. And you see other people go above and beyond. Oh, my car got a flat, I just won't go. Okay.
But let it be a concert that we got some tickets to. We'll go borrow a car from somebody that don't like us, and we don't like them either.
Can I borrow your car? I mean, I know you don't like me, and I don't like you either. But this is a Jill Scott concert. I can't miss this. You understand that, right?
Right. Go ahead, brother.
Numbers chapter 21 and verse 18. Now in the morning, as he returned into the city, he hungered. And when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only, and said unto it, let no fruit grow on you henceforth forward forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, how soon is the fig tree withered away? Yahshua answered and said unto them, verily I say unto you, if you have faith and doubt not, you shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, be you removed, and be you cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive.
So then the first thing we got to deal with here is verse 18. Now in the morning, as he returned in the city, he hungered. He has a need at this particular time. So we're talking about, do you understand the power of who this is and what he wants? Verse 19, and he saw a fig tree in the way, came to it, found nothing thereon but leaves. Completely cursed the fig tree. It was not profitable. At the point that something becomes unprofitable, it's in the way. See, you have to consider, even when somebody makes business decisions, you make business decisions without emotion. Because if you put emotion in it, you end up spending money that's not supposed to be in that business. It is showing you that it is not bringing a profit. But you put your heart into it. So you keep throwing good money after bad, over and over and over until it takes you down under. Yahweh's not in a situation where he's going to ever be pulled down under. But he does look at, how much have I put into this thing? And how much does this thing produce for the kingdom? Let's go to Matthew chapter 25. These are questions that I really had to ask myself coming out of the hospital. Everybody believes that they are a fruitful entity for the Elohim. But when you have to really take a spiritual accounting of yourself, you have to wonder, from what I have done, when I weigh that against what I could have done, I realize I'm inadequate. Although I felt good about my accomplishments before. See, when weight get on you, this is when you realize that you have an ability that you're just not going to attempt to achieve when you're in comfort. So Yahweh will purposely put you in comfort. So he see what kind of individual you are. I want to see how you talk when you get a little money in your bank account. I want to see how nasty you're going to get. I want to see how you're going to act when I give you a house, couple of cars. I'm going to see if I even see you at all. All the while, we counting all the good things, saying, God must be blessing me. And he leading you right to the edge so you can go ahead and fall off. And he leading you with good things the whole time. You blessing him with your mouth. And the whole time, he's testing you. Let me see how far away this individual will get. That's why you find written in this book, don't give me so much that I forget about you, but don't give me so little that I steal. Keep me in a place where me and you can still deal. See, that's not what the masses say. That's not what you're going to hear on Sunday morning. Sunday morning, God wants everybody to be rich. The problem is, money is going to multiply everything wrong with you. So the slight drinking problem turns into a really big drinking problem. Slight smoking problem, you turn into a chimney. You have a slight problem with looking everywhere, oh, you have become a flat-footed, pigeon-toed whoremonger as soon as you get some money. All the while, though, you feel like you're blessed. And you keep getting further and further away from him. See, we are accustomed that Yahweh may take something away from us to test us. Oh no, he'll give to you to test you too. That's why he told Israel, when I have fed you to the full, then you're going to go against me. Watch. I know what you're going to do. See, when you're hungry, you're going to keep talking to me. See? But when I fed you to, when I make sure that every one of your cabinets got food in it, that's when you're going to give me your tail to kiss. So y'all was tired, I'm going to prove it. Fill up all the cupboards. Put a car in the driveway. Now let's just sit here and wait. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 25 and verse 14. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. When he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants comes and reckons with them.
After a long time. So you have this situation where he has put them in charge of something, and then he steps away. See, a lot of us can be obedient if we know he watching. Go ahead.
And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Master, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I've gained beside them 5 talents more. His master said unto him, Well done, you good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things, I'll make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your master.
Right. Have you considered that the things that you may be going through right now is an audition for something else? Go ahead.
He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Master, you delivered unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His master said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your master.
So we have to ask ourselves then, which one of these servants are we? Go ahead.
Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Master, I know that you are an hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the earth. Lo, there you have what is yours.
Right. And if you examine these situations, you see that the one who did the least amount of work is the one who doing the most amount of talking. You notice the other ones, their conversation ain't like that. Their work speaks for them. Go ahead.
His master answered and said unto him, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. You ought therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and have then at my coming I should have received mine own with interest. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has. And cast you the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
So this is the unprofitable servant that gets cast into this outer darkness. But we have to go back to verse 14. It says, understand what's happening here. It says, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling in a far country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. He's likening the kingdom of heaven unto this business transaction. So, whereas everybody is dealing with these feelings and all of these things, when it's time to deal with business, we let the numbers speak for themselves. He's not doing all that. Well, you know how long you knew me. Look, man, me and you, we've been kicking it since. Look, think about how long I've been here. What your numbers say? All we need to look at is X's and O's. This is what he put right here. That should make us think. Let's go to Exodus chapter 30. Exodus chapter 30. So you went on a mission today. I didn't see nobody do that.
We talk about it after.
Well, I'll be doggone.
That's why I say excuses. Exodus chapter 30 and verse 12. When you taketh the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto Yahweh. When you number them, that there be no plague among them, when you number them.
Now, check this out. When you take the sum of the children of Israel, their number, they shall give every man a ransom for his soul. All right? That there be no plague. Understand? From the beginning, they were redeemed with plagues. This is how we came to be. So when we decide that we're not going to do the things that we're supposed to do you understand what you just asked for? You're asking for your salvation price. You're telling him, I'm ready to cash this thing in. This how much you paid for me? I think I can buy off my price. Go ahead.
This they shall give, everyone that pass among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, and half shekel shall be the offering of Yahweh. Everyone that pass among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto Yahweh. The rich shall not give more.
Check this out now. The rich shall not give more. Go ahead.
And the poor shall not give less than half a shekel.
So when it comes down to what Yahweh is dealing with, you can't buy him with money. That's not what he's looking for. Because you're only giving him his stuff back anyway. Keep going.
When they give an offering unto Yahweh to make an atonement for your souls. And you shall take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before Yahweh, to make an atonement for your souls.
All right, that's as far as I want to go right there. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 24. Second Samuel chapter 24. And let's start that at verse 1.
And again the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number the children, go number Israel and Yehudah.
So we first see that being the leader, being the king, he had to be the one to get dealt with, for Israel to get dealt with. So if you look at this on the surface, it looks like Yahweh is angry with David. And again, the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel. And then he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Yehudah. Jump to verse 10.
And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people.
Now, this is a process. So he goes through all the process of numbering Israel. This takes months. After he is done, his heart has now smote him. Go ahead.
And David said unto Yahweh, I have sinned greatly in that I have done.
Now, people have tried to tell him not to do it to start with. But when Yahweh is pushing a test, you will say things that come out of your mouth. And after you say them, you will ask yourself, why I say that? You will tell on yourself. You've been and had a plan at your house. This is what we're going to say. This is what the plan is. You get home, you get there with your family. This is what we're going to say. And get right there and tell everything on yourself. And then you be saying, I don't understand why I did that. It wasn't you. He was making you tell on yourself. Go ahead.
And now, I beseech you, O Yahweh, take away the lawlessness of your servant, for I have done very foolishly. For when David was up in the morning, the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying.
Now, check this out now. After he done all the wrong, here come Yahweh and the prophet. When was Yahweh and the prophet all the months it took him to do the wrong? Go ahead.
Go and say unto David, thus says Yahweh, I offer you 3 things. Choose you one of them, that I may do it unto you. So Gad came to David and told him and said unto him, shall 7 years of famine come on to you in your land? Or will you flee 3 months before your enemies while they pursue you? Or that there be 3 days pestilence in your land? Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of Yahweh, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. So Yahweh sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed. And there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men.
Now, this is what Yahweh wanted to start with. He said he was angry with Israel. So then not only does he move you with choices that really ain't no choice. He'll put you to a 4-way street, block 3 of the streets, and then ask you, my servant, which way shall you go? Yahweh ain't but one way to go. You block 3 streets. Good decision, son. Wow, you deep, brother. Go ahead.
And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, Yahweh repented him of the evil and said to the angel that destroyed the people, it is enough, stay now your hand. And the angel of Yahweh was by the threshing place of Arnah the Jebusite. And David spake unto Yahweh when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, I have sinned, and I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray you, be against me and against my father's house.
You see how Yahweh will also deal with you on a need-to-know basis? The beginning of it said who he was angry with. He was angry with Israel. He didn't tell David that. He let David think it was him. See, that's the part about being in charge that people don't want. See, we don't want to take any blame for something that we don't think is ours. But we want to be in charge of everything. We want to make all the decisions. We want to make all the this. We want to get everything that look like it might be coming in good. What about when bad comes? That's yours too. You got to own that. He's owning that. But Yahweh didn't have no problem with him. He said, I've done wrong. Why you doing something to them? Leave these sheep alone. They deal with me in my house. But it was the people that he was angry with to start with. But this is how perception can lead you somewhere. What happened if you standing off watching this? David counted the people. 70,000 people died. Ain't nobody died in David's house. what do you say as you sitting off?
Look at him. He done caused all us to die, and now he finna go in the castle.
Then what happened is that passes from person to person. What happened if that negative energy sit amongst them people for years? They carry it on in their hearts because they think this is David's problem. Whole time, he killed off who he wanted to kill off. But here's the real question. He said he was angry with Israel. The plague went for that short amount of time. He decided where the plague was going to stop. An altar was built there. We know that eventually turns into a holy place. Okay. He had decided exactly which people was going to get killed by the plague. But he went through all of this. But he knew exactly who he was angry with. Consider that. Go ahead, brother.
And Gad came that day to David and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar unto Yahweh in the threshing floor of Arnah the Jebusite. And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as Yahweh commanded. And Arnah looked and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. And Arnah went out and bowed himself before the king on his face upon the ground. And Arnah said, Wherefore is my master the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor of you, to build an altar unto Yahweh, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Arnah said unto David, Let my master the king take and offer up what he seems good unto him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. All these things did Arnah, as a king gives unto the king. And Arnah said unto the king, Yahweh your Elohim accept you. And the king said unto Arnah,
Now, all of this is given unto him from a king to a king. I'll give you this. I have this much respect for you. But you have to pay attention to how he deals with this. Go ahead.
And the king said unto Arnah, No, but I'll surely buy it of you at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto Yahweh my Elohim of that which does cost me nothing.
I cannot offer anything that does not cost me anything. So if it don't mean nothing to me, it don't mean nothing to him. What is the value of what you offer? If your time not important to you, it ain't important to him. Go ahead.
So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. And David built there an altar unto Yahweh, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So Yahweh was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Israel.
And you have to look and pay attention in that Yahweh allows him to see the angel. Now, he didn't talk to him. So, you have to really pay attention to, all of these situations where everybody having these conversations and God is talking to him. As much as he loved David, he ain't talking to him. He said somebody else go talk to him. Then he lets him see an angel, but after everything else was done. We have to consider that. And we have to think about the levels of things. Even being a king, Yahweh has the power of his priesthood separate. We have to think about what King Saul did. Once Samuel didn't show up on time, Saul says, you came not at the time appointed, so I forced myself. Man, we had this brother here on one side of town trying to pick up somebody from the airport. This brother right here ended up having a little fender bender before he even get out of his state. What happened if we were here late? How many of y'all would have stayed?
I would make my appearance, but you know what?
Be careful. least Yahweh test you. Oh, he purposely made sure Samuel was late. So it can prove what was in Saul's heart. He didn't care nothing about the priest or the priesthood. As soon as he had an opportunity, he showed his indignation. We talking about somebody who just ordered the death of priests like it wasn't nothing. Now, the watchman advises Israel, even though they may not want or ask for his advice. But at some point, even the watchman has to realize when he is casting his pearls before swine. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast you your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. In our quest to understand the value of certain things, we have to also understand when we are putting too much into a situation. Just like Yahweh looks at those talents, and he looks at how we deal with them and said, this servant is not worthy to keep investing talents in this individual. Take that talent from him, give it to him. Now, we may look and say, oh, that is so unfair. This dude has 10 talents. Right, because he's profitable with everything that Elohim gives him. So then we have to consider, at what point do we have to deal in the same way? Matthew chapter 10, and let's start that at verse 5.
These 12 Yahshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any of the city of the Samaritans enter you not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat.
Now, you got to first understand something. Where's your faith level? When he says, go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as you preach, say that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Do all these things, but provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. He's telling you to leave home without no money. And we're talking about a journey. We ain't talking about down the street. Now, how many of us say, wait a minute now, wait a minute. Wait, what happened? I get hungry? You know what I'm saying? My donkey, he get a flat hoof. You know what I'm saying? I mean, something. I mean, what you want me to leave without nothing? So you learn to depend on him. Go ahead.
And into whatsoever city or town you shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till you go thence.
Okay, so here is where things start to get interesting. What house is worthy? Go ahead.
And when you come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it.
All right. If the house be worthy, let your peace be upon it. Have you put your peace upon an unworthy house? Now, this is where you're going to have to start counting how much you're going to put into a situation. All right? Keep reading.
But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you.
Now, if the house be not worthy, let your peace return to you. Now, what happened if you're dealing with somebody who have allowed their peace to be upon an unworthy house, and then they keep calling you, taking away your peace? No. Your peace is gone because you gave it to the unworthy house. You don't get to come take mine. This is when you realize, you know what? I'm investing too much into this situation. Because if I keep investing in you, you're going to keep investing in them. So I got to cut you off. So maybe you learn to cut them off. Go ahead.
And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city.
Let's go to Zechariah chapter 14. See, Yahweh gives us, these situations whereby we can understand some of the things that he has dealt with. At what point do you keep investing in a situation?
979.
Appreciate it. See, we're talking about an Elohim who is never going to run out of resources. But at what point does dealing with you become too expensive? Zechariah chapter 14, and let's start that at verse 1.
Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, and your spoil shall be divided in the midst of you. For I'll gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
So, as you are sitting down thinking about the things that we want from Yahweh our Elohim, consider all of the things that he still has to do to redeem us. As you think about the cost of your salvation. See, we all want to hear that sentence, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been profitable. But at some point, you got to look at a situation and say, man, when do I start becoming profitable to my Elohim? I would like to believe that I've been profitable to my Elohim. But I also understand that he has put some work in before I even knew that he was putting work in. At what point did I even get to break even? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 3. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south.
Now, understand, all of these things, we're talking about mountains moving, we're talking about nations coming up for the battle of Armageddon, we're talking about a war of wars for your redemption. We're getting deeper and deeper into this price hole. Go ahead.
And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yes, you shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Yehuda. And Yahweh my Elohim shall come, and all the saints with you. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to Yahweh, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And Yahweh shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Yahweh, and his name one.
Now, you know how many things has to happen for that? That Yahweh end up being king over all the earth? Hey, a new king just entered the circle. And for some reason, the mama didn't want this one to get the crowns. Because we talking about he got 50 crowns. Now, just how much damage might this individual do in a very short amount of time? See, they thought the queen was wicked. We might not have seen nothing yet. So, for him to be king over all the earth, that means he got to go knock 50 crowns off somebody's head. And that's just one somebody. That's just one slap. Go ahead.
You know, brother, even with setting him up, the indignation is still there, because even with him having 50 crowns, he really doesn't have the power of resources, because she gave all the property to the son. So basically, he has to pay his son rent wherever he lives. So you still don't have all that control. Even in her dying, she still made sure that you didn't have control that you should have.
And the question is, why? What scary type of individual is this? That even a ruthless individual believed that you will be horrible with power. Oh, and he don't hide how he feel about people with tint to their skin. See, the rest of them had, royal racism. Their racism was different. Hey, I just didn't believe you're well there. Not him. He just turned the other way while, he just pass over people of color. He blatant with it. So this may get interesting. Go ahead.
Verse 10. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Ramon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place from Benjamin's gate onto the place of the first gate, onto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananeel onto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited.
Do you know how many things has to happen for that to happen? So then we consider how much Yahweh has to do for us. And then we look at how we don't want to deal with the slightest inconvenience. And you're talking about Jerusalem safely inhabited. Man, the hoods of Chicago are safer than Israel. Go ahead.
And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
Wait a minute. Plague. This shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. So here it is, he sends plagues to redeem us. Now they have jumped up and put themselves in the line of that plague because they have come against Israel. Yahweh is very poetic when it comes down to punishment. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Yehudah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague.
Well, you have to look at how the nations benefited as we were punished. As Yahweh removed the hedge from among us, look at how fat they became in feeding off of us. Some of the biggest corporations, some of the greatest inventions, all of those things we invented but get absolutely nothing out of it. Well, Yahweh gonna pay us back for that. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
They are going to be made to keep the Feast of Tabernacles because they have to come up, make their offering, and present themselves unto the king. That's also going to let them know every year who's in control. When a king has to go and bow before a king. See, this is how they let you know that they are in control. All the kings from around the earth go over and bow down to the queen and the pope. And if you're not paying attention, you don't understand. That's why they were king of kings. Even the kings came to pay respect to them. This is how Yahweh is going to make sure that they understand who in control. When your king got to go and bow down to another king, then you understand, oh no, that's king of kings. That ain't no regular king right there, because my king wouldn't bow down to that king. Go ahead.
And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith Yahweh shall smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
Right. So then you understand, of course, all the world can't come up. So what happened? They have to send representatives from each of their countries. They have to go and represent their country. Yahweh's not playing. Go ahead.
In that day shall there be upon the bells of horses holiness unto Yahweh, and the pots in Yahweh's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yes, every pot in Jerusalem and in Yehudah shall be holiness unto Yahweh of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seed therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 22.
When you think about all these coming up, Yahweh said, no, remember y'all used to gather for your UN gatherings and meetings? No, you come see me.
Right.
Forget your little UN meetings.
And when America would just do something on their own, they pick and choose who they want to invite. So you have to be, you blessed to come kiss their feet. Check that out. They put out, who's worthy to come and bow down to them. And setting those little things up, they are able to also block out people who don't deal the way they want them to deal. So that's going to be a large fall for them to have to come to a forum that they're not in control of. Matthew chapter 22, and let's start at verse 1.
And Yahshua answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son.
Once again, the likening of the kingdom of heaven. Go ahead.
And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come.
Why would the servants not come? See, everybody has a reason. And they believe that their reason is just. Go ahead.
Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come on to the marriage.
Right. All of this preparation that has been put into effect. I have to tell people half the time when you see us come up here, you seeing us for the second time. These people have already been up here and putting stuff together. So some of these folks, when you see them and you think, man, they got here a little late today. No. This the second time they done got here. They've already been here and worked for hours. Go ahead.
But they made light of it and went their ways.
They made light of it. Now, he done put some work in. I sent forth, called them that were bidden unto the wedding. Tell them what you're bidden. Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatlings are killed, and all things are made ready. That didn't just get itself ready. Somebody had to do that to get it ready. Go ahead.
One to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was angry, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt up their city. Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy.
The wedding is ready, but they which were invited are not worthy. Go ahead.
Go you therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he says unto him, Friend, how come you in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
And when you deal with this thing, you talk about being unclothed, there is no spiritual covering whatsoever. It said just go out and bid them to the wedding feast. But there's a certain amount of thing that is expected when you show up at the wedding feast, that you understand where you're going and how you're supposed to be attired. Go ahead.
You know, recently you said, we don't know when our time is up. Because you look at it, they were sent an invitation twice. You got to look at it as 3 times because they already had an invitation. He said, those who bidden. So that means you already been invited. Then he sent them out again. Hey, it's ready. They didn't show up. Sent them again. What, you gonna think I'm gonna keep coming? You think I'm gonna keep waiting on you?
Right. We think that we are just that important that the entire show has to stop for us. And hey, as much as Yahweh went out of the way for Moshe, if he didn't get them kids circumcised, this whole book will read different. That angel wasn't going to negotiate. That angel was going to take care of that business. You're not going in it another step with these uncircumcised kids. I've given you all the time that you're going to have. Take care of this business. But what we will do, you got to think about the softness, a man having to deal with his wife and his kids. The wife don't want it, so he making a little some concessions for the wife and don't get this thing done. Yahweh don't expect the man to go in his house and rule with an iron fist, but when it comes down to salvation things, he don't expect you to lose. I always tell folks, I don't care what color the drapes is, I don't care what color you paint this house. But when it come down to the spiritual things, I'm not gonna lose those battles. If I got to be in this house by myself, I ain't losing them battles. Go ahead, bro.
Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into utter darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then we have to consider the invitation that we received. What does it mean to you? Do you just, when you show up with your invitation, do it have car motor all over the envelope? And did you check the oil with your invitation, brother? What is this? Did you sit it on the table and eat your chicken beside it? You got chicken grease. Won't that chicken grease get in there? It ain't coming out. How did you even treat your invitation? we have to consider the great price, how far out of the way Yahweh has gone for us. And I know everybody believed that they got plenty enough time. But when Yahweh shows up and shows you your own mortality, it make you figure it out real quick. And if we don't learn to grow from other people's experiences, you are really damning yourself. If you got to go through everything instead of him letting somebody else go through it and let you see it. If you got to go through everything yourself, I can tell you, you ain't gonna last long. You better learn how to watch somebody else's turmoil and let it adjust your walk. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16. Remember now, he was angry with Israel, but it was Dawid that he went at. When something happens to somebody, do you say, Yahweh must be angry with him? Did you ever sit back and think, Yahweh might be angry with us? Deuteronomy chapter 16. Now let's read verses 16 and 17.
3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahweh your Elohim, which he has given you.
According to the blessing that Yahweh has given you. You know, when you get down and read when they were numbered, there was something that was supposed to be offered as an atonement for their soul. So then you ask that question then. This is the thing. We grew up in this law. Our people, this is everything for Israel. Yahweh was angry with Israel and moved Dawid to number them. Did nobody show up with atonement money when they were counted? Wait a minute, everybody read the law? Did nobody show up with nothing? They was all supposed to have the same thing. Half a shekel. What's the problem? He was angry with Israel, moved Dawid to number them. Once they understand they were numbered, that should automatically came up with half a shekel. Even the rich. Now, it ain't like the rich had to give more. No, half a shekel. Yahweh make it the way everybody can participate. Half a shekel is all you had to show up with. You have to wonder, how did they separate who the plague killed? How the plague knew which people to kill and which people to leave alone? And nowhere in that story do you find anybody talking about a shekel or a half a shekel for their atonement money, knowing that they were counted. Do you understand? This took 9 months for them to count. In 9 months, ain't nobody said, hey, shouldn't we be offering something for our soul? You know, because this is what we do. We study this book. This is what we do. So in 9 months, ain't nobody asked that question? See, there's certain things that when you read it, it should bring a question to your mind. Hey, what? So, when they gonna do this part? So let's say something happens around here. You gonna walk around for 9 months and y'all not gonna say nothing? Somebody gotta open their mouth and say, hey, when we gonna do this part? Because, you know, at the end, when they're done counting, your opportunity to offer is over. But if somebody had asked that question before he was done, maybe a whole lot of them would have had an opportunity to offer something for their souls. And if you talk about half a shekel, they would have had that. And we study out of this book. It says that Israel, you are taught according to the law. How is it they didn't know that? Let us consider these things as we go to make our appearance before our Elohim. Let us remember our families. Let us pray for one another. You know that a brother might have an issue. Yahweh may not hear that brother. Some people may be showing up just to show up. Yahweh may not hear that brother. But he might hear you. But then now we got to ask the question. How many other brothers know your plight? Or were we too proud to tell another brother our plight? Then now you got to rely on nobody but you. Now what's the use of having a family and the only one you can count on is you? Take that into consideration, Israel. All right, we got, what time is it? Y'all set up? Is everything set up? All right, it is 10:35. We will make our appearance at 10:42. All right, that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.